everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new Marvel Legends Infinite Series 6-inch Marvel Now Iron Man figure from Hasbro's Avengers Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure wave. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've seen with the other Avengers Legends. We've got the black and red highlights. You've got the Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure logo up at the very top. You've got an Avengers comic book logo above the figure, since this is a comic book based figure. On the very top of the packaging we have an A for Iron Man because he's an Avenger. The figure is clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and then we have that Marvel Legends Infinite Series logo down below along with the name of the character. On the sides we have some artwork for Iron Man, same on both sides, and then on the back we have a look at the figure, a little brief bio in multiple languages, and then down below we have a look at all the figures in the Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure wave. Okay, so let's get this figure open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. Now before we actually delve into this review, I just want to mention that today, breaking news about a new San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figure set from Hasbro. It's going to be an Ant-Man figure set featuring figures in various scales, including the 3 1/4 inch or 4-inch scale, a 6-inch scale figure, and even a 12-inch figure. There's actually 5 figures in the set. So head over to MarvelousNews.com for details on that. We'll actually have the images released today for the set aren't that great. We'll actually have some high-res images for you all tomorrow on the site. There's a link in the description below for the initial news. So if you want to check that out and get more details, head over to MarvelousNews.com for that. So anyway, this figure comes packaged with a Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure piece. It's the leg, it's the right leg this time, and just like with the left leg that came in the Doctor Strange figure we looked at yesterday, this leg is very hefty and heavy. So we're almost got all the pieces together, and once we do, we'll be putting this thing together and be doing a review for it. So just to give you kind of a little bit tease, throw the legs onto the lower torso piece, just to kind of start to give you an idea of what kind of scale we're going to be looking at with this bad boy. So that review is going to be coming up in a couple days, so stay tuned for that as well. So this Iron Man figure is basically just a simple repaint. It's a repaint of the Mark IV armor Iron Man figure from Hasbro's Iron Man 2 line of figures, 6-inch figures that came out a couple years ago. It's basically, as far as I can tell, I don't actually have that figure, but I checked some images online and it looks like it's basically just an exact repaint. Unfortunately, that figure came with an alternate Tony Stark head, which this figure does not come with. It would have been kind of cool if they'd included that head with this figure, but as it is, they did not. So, as far as the paint applications go on this figure, I think it's pretty solid and very true to the Marvel Now Iron Man, the black and gold colored Iron Man. The only thing that it's missing is they did forget, in the comics, he actually has 2 little red lights above his arc reactor. So, on this figure, they just left it black. You can see like little dots, but they should actually be red lights there, just kind of the same color as his arc reactor. He's also got the dots on his side and stuff. So that's, from what I could tell, is basically the only thing missing. But otherwise, this is a good representation of that Marvel Now character as we see in the comic books. And I think Hasbro did a good job with the paint applications on this, with the metallic gold and the black. I think it comes off looking good. I actually like this armor. I wish he had worn it longer. Basically, he started out with the, I think he wore this for a couple issues, then he flipped over to the space armor, and then he went back to this for a few issues, and then he ended up going to that all-white Superior Iron Man armor, which I don't really like. Okay, so this figure stands at just about 6 inches tall exactly. Now the only real downside with this figure being a repaint from that Iron Man 2 movie line is that those figures are a little bit out of scale with regular Marvel Legends figures. So here he is next to one of the other Iron Man figures from the movie line. This isn't the one it's a repaint of, but you can see they're about the same scale. Here he is next to the Space Armor, the Marvel Now Space Armor version that it came in the Guardians of the Galaxy wave, and you can see that one is a little bit taller. And then just for one more comparison, here he is next to the Toy Biz Iron Man figure that was released back in the day, and you can see that one's definitely a bit taller. Basically what it comes down to it is he's about, instead of being a little bit taller like he should be for regular characters like say Captain America, he's about the same height. So I don't think it looks terrible, you know, next to a figure like Captain America, but technically, you know, Iron Man should be a little bit taller. It doesn't bother me too much, but if I had any real complaint about that figure, this figure, it would be that it's a little bit out of scale. Okay, so articulation on this figure is pretty good. He can look left and right with no problem. And he's got down and up movement with the head, pretty good up movement, so you can actually get him in fairly good flight poses with him looking forward. So I do like that about the figure. He's got ball hinge joints at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out all the way. And he's got these shoulder pads that are articulated, but they do kind of limit how much you can rotate the arm. You kind of have to rotate out, and when you do rotate the arm, you kind of have a tendency to knock those shoulder pads off. They'll pop right back on, but you know, when you just be wary when you rotate the arm, you probably will have a tendency to knock the shoulder pads off. He has a bicep swivel. He's got a double hinged elbow. And then he's got swivel wrists, and he's got the hinges on the wrist, so you can get the hands down pretty good. You can't really do, because of this armor piece, you can't really do the hands up too much. He's got the midsection joint, so he's got swivel there. Not much in the way of crunch there. You can kind of pivot to the left and the right, and he's got some up movement there. So again, that kind of helps with the flight poses. He's got ball joints at the legs, so he can do the splits good. He can get his leg forward pretty good. Can't do his leg back too well, can kind of do out and back. He's got the thigh swivel. Got the double jointed knees. And then he's got the hinged ankles, so he's got a little bit of left and right movement there, and he's got a little bit of up and down movement, but with the way the armor is sculpted, it comes down over those ankle joints, so it does limit pretty much how much he can move those ankles at the feet. And then he's got 2 peg holes on the bottom. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like this figure. Again, a little bummer that he's a little bit out of scale with the rest of the Marvel Legends, since he's basically a repaint from the Iron Man 6-inch movie line. But again, that's not a huge deal to me, because I mean, yes, he's a little bit on the short side, but it's not like he's really shorter than the other characters. He's just not taller as he should be. You know, like I said, he should be a little bit taller than Captain America as opposed to the same size, but it's not enough that it really bothers me that much. I do like the figure. I think this is a pretty good sculpt for Iron Man. It's got decent articulation. I like that the neck, you can get that head up for flight poses, and I think the paint applications are pretty solid on this figure, and I do like this black and gold look for Iron Man. So I actually like this figure, and it's probably going to be my go-to Iron Man figure, at least for the time being. So this figure, now another piece of news that I just became aware of is apparently the Ant-Man Legends figures have started to hit retail stores here in the United States. Now, the target date for those I had was actually early to mid-July, so those figures are actually starting to hit early. I believe they've only hit at, in the Midwest at Toys R Us stores, but they are starting to be released, which means that it's a good possibility we're going to very soon start seeing the Spider-Man Legends, the Rhino Wave Build-A-Figure series, and then the Hulkbuster wave. So, you know, my original, I had been saying that the release date for these was going to be early to mid-August, but it looks like, you know, if we're getting Ant-Man Legend figures already, then we could actually start seeing these start to trickle out, maybe even as early as middle to late July. So definitely a good possibility we could see these earlier than I had anticipated. You know, again, these release dates are not set in stone, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly when these things are going to be released. But again, with Ant-Man Legends figures, which are now starting to hit shelves here in the United States, so if you're looking for those, start checking your local Toys R Us stores. And you know, with those already hitting, we could see this wave, this Hulkbuster wave, hit much sooner. Well, at least several weeks sooner than I'd anticipated. So I just wanted to let you know that. And we'll have a full gallery of images of this figure up at marvelousnews.com. There's a link in the description below. Also, as I mentioned about the Ant-Man Legends set that was announced today, there'll be a link to that as well. As always, we ask please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you all later.